welcome to Honest Car Reviews. My name is Eric and this is the Ford Ranger Raptor. And what is the big thing with the new Raptor? It is that engine, a turbocharged V6, the same as in the Bronco Raptor. But here in Europe it is a bit detuned. So in Australia and America you get close to 400 horsepower. Here 388 horsepower and 516 newton meters of torque, but compared to the 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel that we had before, this is a major upgrade. This press color is called Sedona Orange. It's something in between red, orange, copper, and it's super deep, and when the sun just hits on it, amazing color. The car is much more boxy than before, and truth be told, even though this looks aggressive, it looks cool, I think that the previous one looks a bit more aggressive, especially the lights. Now these C-shaped lights instead of before this really squintish. Yeah, the previous Ranger Raptor just looked more aggressive. Another big thing with this car is the suspension. Before it was Fox suspension, and it is Fox suspension now as well, but now the suspension is active. When the tires lose contact with the ground, you'll hear the suspension make a click, and that is the cue for them to make into the maximum position to be ready to land. And it is super impressive how well and how controlled and how soft this car lands and absorbs the bumps. Of course, I'll talk about how the new suspension has impacted on the regular driving, because that's why I'm testing it here at my home turf and not just on the press trip. Let me start the car and let you hear the change in the driving modes. So there's quiet, there's normal, there's sport, and then I think there's Baja. So now we're in quiet. It seems that you can rev to 4.5 or 4 if you hold the throttle continuously. Very quiet. I can change from quiet to normal. And that changes the sound a bit. Then there's sport. Much deeper growl. Sounds much more. You can even hear the turbo. And then there's Baja. And that is very loud. And it fits the character of the car so well. This car is not fitted with the automatic jalousie, which means that you have snow. But since it is a Raptor, the maximum loading weight, including the driver and passengers, is 552 kilos. Maximum towing weight is apparently 2,500 kilograms. But if I'm not mistaken, the towing weight hasn't changed compared to the previous Ranger Raptor, and that should mean that it can only tow about 750 kilos. Don't forget that this Ranger Raptor can also be fitted with the previous 2-liter 231 horsepower diesel engine as well. But if I were you, I would definitely go for the V6. And let's check out the rear seats. Leather everywhere. No panoramic sunroof. Not that much low fire support, but there is some. A very big tunnel here in the middle. Very dark in here, but the red stitching and red details help elevate the feeling of, you know, performance. Armrest with 2 cup holders here. So the car started and you can see just how much better and more aggressive the new interior looks compared to the previous Ranger Raptor. Much more spacious, much more aggressive, and all in all, less dated. The infotainment system is taken almost straight from the Mustang Mach-E, but the screen is smaller. Takes some time getting used to, and the response is fairly, you know, it's lagging a bit behind, but it works. You can see here when I go up and down, it's a bit lagging behind, but it does work, and you have manual controls for your temperature, which is always good to have. Same with all the necessary driving modes. You have this wheel, so from normal, sport, slippery, mud and track, sand, Baja, and rock crawling. I have controls here to go into the driver assistant menu, so I can lock the rear axle, the front axle, and this is to have a set speed. So if I'm driving down a hill, I press this button, set the speed at 10 kilometers an hour, and on the downhill I don't have to push on the brake or anything, the car will do it for me. The same uphill. Another cool feature is from park, reverse, neutral, drive. If I stop the car will go into park automatically. You should know that the new Ranger Raptor feels much more stiffer driving regularly compared to the previous one. But that does also mean that it feels more like a car driving down the road. The stiffness of the car does follow even when you're driving more quickly. So that does also mean that it feels really like you're having more connection with what's underneath you. If it's sand, if it's rocks or whatever, it feels like you have more traction, more control of how the car is settling down, how the car, it talks back to you more basically. Depending on which driving mode you're in, you do get some feedback through what's happening. It's easy to counter steer, the chassis is lovely in its setup. Oh, yep. And now we're on a regular road. Go to 4A automatic. Let's go out from manual, going to drive, and here is where the new Ranger Raptor has improved monumentally. Much more responsive, stiffer, doesn't lean as much, more connected in general, more fun as well, and you know, that sound as well. The new Ranger Raptor combines the off-road capabilities with the on-road capabilities very, very well. Much better than the previous Ranger Raptor. The previous Ranger Raptor with the diesel engine felt like it was designed more towards going off-road with that soft suspension. It feels like a more sporty off-road car. Feels like it has been optimized to take that corner that just a bit quicker, like a Porsche GT3, and then you have the Porsche GT3 RS. But unfortunately it does mean that it feels stiffer. Some of these potholes that previously felt like nothing gets transplanted into the cabin. But in all other aspects it is a better car. The interior, the exterior, that engine, and the calibration of the gearbox and the suspension, which is active, it can stiffen up depending on which driving mode in. I mean, every single other aspect has been improved. The new Ranger Raptor has just taken all things and turned it up to 11. And the new V6 turbocharged engine has really shown the capabilities of the Ranger Raptor platform. It is stiffer, especially on-road, but also off-road. Feels more connected with what's happening underneath you. Feels more like a car. But the trade-off is that it feels stiffer. It doesn't feel as invincible as the previous Ranger Raptor. was. But aside from that, all other aspect is a massive improvement. And it is super refreshing to see Ford, when they don't really have any competition, to improve their product so much and listen to their customers to give them what they want. Sadly, we don't get the full fat 400 horsepower tune, but it's better than nothing. And the V6 is so much more characterful than the diesel. Everything turned to 11. That's my final conclusion. See you next time.